Welcome to the Dental Job Stories podcast, in association with dentaljobs.com, a leading job board for dental professionals. Please sit back and relax and listen to some of the thought leaders across the dentistry sector. Hi everyone, welcome to a further episode of the Dental Job Stories in association with dentaljobs.com. I'm over the moon to welcome our next guest back onto the show, Jim Hall, founder and CEO of Clyde Munro. Jim, great to have you back with us. Almost a year since our first recording.
Yeah, can't believe that. Yeah.
Where's that gone?
In a flash. Yep.
In a flash. How has 2024 been for you so far?
Yeah, good. It's been great. Been very busy. We've been very fortunate that we've been able to roll out a number of new initiatives with particularly new technology, with our digital strategy, and in particular our AI systems that I'll actually talk a wee bit about more later. And then we've been working really hard to obviously add new dentists into the business. As everybody knows, there is a huge demand across the country for people to see a dentist, and we're doing everything we possibly can to make sure that we've got some great new dentists in Clyde Munro so that we can support families across Scotland.
That's excellent. I'm particularly excited to share the Overseas Explorer program that you guys come up with. So let's get into that. What has inspired Clyde Munro to launch the Overseas Explorer program? And for the listeners, what is that?
Right. So the Overseas Explorer program is really one part of a number of initiatives that we've underway to attract new dentists and to develop our own dentists in Clyde Munro. We have got in a number of parts of the country a real challenge in recruiting dentists, and families in those communities are desperate to be able to go to their local dentists and to get the care that they need and they deserve, and for both the adults in the family, but in particular for children. So as we look at the different initiatives that we are working on, it was clear there was an opportunity to look at some of the excellent clinicians that we have around the world that are keen to work in the UK and in Scotland, and to look after patients across Scotland. And we felt what we needed to do was to learn a bit about what's worked and what hasn't worked in terms of making that a program that attracts overseas dentists to come in and work alongside our other clinical teams, and look at what lessons we've learned when we've done it in the past. We haven't done a huge amount in the past, but we've done one or two programs there. And we thought, right, well, what could we do to make this really work for the individual? What can we do to make it work for the teams they'll be part of? And of course, for the patients that will be looked after by these new dentists. And what became clear is that in order for it to be successful, you really need to invest in a program of support, a program of integration into the practices that the person will be working in. And just to expect someone to come in from overseas to live with their family in a different country and to go in and just automatically fit in without giving them the right support just isn't successful. So we felt very strongly that there was an opportunity here to do something different, to do something that's well structured, that allows us to make it a success for everybody and a win-win for everybody. So that was the motivation behind it. We spent a long time working with our own clinicians, some of whom have had experience of working alongside overseas dentists before. And we put together a very comprehensive program. The program will be delivered by our own clinicians. It will also be delivered by outside support as well, where we believe that's necessary. And there'll be a mixture of internal and external trainers. We will obviously utilize our unique training academy in Perth to carry out a lot of the training there. And something that we believe will give the best chance of success for everyone. It starts off with a residential course where all of our overseas dentists that are going to start the program come together, and they all start at the same time, which is good because it then creates a network that people can use to support, to share experiences, and to get information. So we start off with that residential period and course, and then we move into a whole year of structured training, all of which is done alongside a mentor. Each of the overseas dentists will have a specific mentor in the practice where they're working that's there to support them and provide help to make sure they make the best use of that learning. So it's really a very practical approach to making sure that, excellent clinicians can be absorbed into our system, integrated into our system, and get the help and support they need to be successful.
What sets this program apart from, other dental training programs, particularly for international dentists? I mean, you've touched on the point there, having a team start at the same time, and that creates bond, that creates a good stepping stone to join an ecosystem. That makes sense.
Yeah. So what sets it apart? I'm not aware of anyone else that's doing a program like this. There are groups that have got their own plans, but nothing like this. And we're very fortunate that we have our own training academy, that we have our own dedicated clinician group who support our dentists across all the practices. And we're very fortunate that we are the lead group in Europe in terms of applying new technology. And all of that comes together to create quite a unique opportunity for overseas dentists to make a real success of their life in Scotland. So we believe it is pretty unique. The other thing we do is we want to make sure that their experience is one where they can focus on the clinical side, not worry about having to earn fees and get started with, concerns around how do I learn but build up enough patients to give me a living, if you like. So what we've done is we've got a guaranteed salary for them for the first year, which means that they don't have to be concerned about that. They can focus on the learning, the training, the patient care, and building up their confidence to be able to earn very well for their families going forward and provide the best possible patient care at the same time.
I mean, that's key, isn't it? Having that reassurance without the run around, try and find patients is obviously, important. Yeah. And again, it just goes to show that you're always thinking, you're always coming up with initiatives. And more importantly, you're thinking about the talent you're bringing in, as well as obviously keeping clients in mind as well, patients in mind. Yeah. So obviously, we've touched on a few things, but what kind of support and resources are provided to the historical dentist throughout the year long program? We've touched on salary support and stuff like that, but what else? I mean, training, I guess, lots of it.
Yeah. Well, there'll be access to training, as I've talked about, quite a specific course of training that's planned out throughout the first year. They will get, as I've said before, a mentor to support them through that. But they'll also get access to a new AI technology, and in particular to AI Peril, Second Opinion, where they can utilize this software as quite simply a second opinion to help them with, for example, how they diagnose the x-rays from the patient. So they will have that tool available. We're also implementing another AI system called Chairside, which helps with treatment planning and treatment patient notes. Again, for an overseas dentist, that will help them to be able to get really into the rhythm of how we do things, make sure that their notes are all that they can be, and that their treatment plans are all that they can be through using this new technology. And that supplements the training and support that they will get from the individual practices where they work, and of course from the central training program that's available. We also have an annual conference where all the dentists get together. And again, they will, of course, be coming to that. And that gives them a feeling of being part of a team, a wider team throughout Scotland. They will be able to understand what potential opportunities are there for them to grow, and really feel that they are supported by a much bigger team, all with the same values of care and support for themselves and for patients.
Isn't it amazing how far technology has come? Even if we go back 12 months, you've mentioned chairside AI. We weren't talking about that last time, were we? It's just amazing how quickly these things, evolve, and you've got to adapt and put those into the business.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things that we pride ourselves in, that if there is technology there that we believe will help our clinicians to provide greater patient care, and allow them to develop themselves further, then we make that investment. We have got the biggest integrated set of digital tools available, and they're available to all our clinicians. And that includes our VT trainers straight from university, our newly qualified dentists, and our therapists, hygienists, as well as obviously the overseas dentists that come in through our overseas dental program.
Obviously, we've touched on obviously the opportunity that exists for these international dentists, which is, you guys have put a lot of thought into this and coming up with an initiative is going to be, very well received, having the comfort of an organization such as yours, Jim. The career growth and the development available for these individuals coming across. What does that look like year one, year?
Well, really, one of the things I say to all the dentists in Clyde Munro is you can be what you want to be in Clyde Munro, because there's so many opportunities there, and we support our dentists. If our dentists want to go down a particular path and they want to be involved in, for example, implants, or they want to get involved in orthodontics or endodontics, then we will support them all the way. And it will be the same for the overseas dentists. Once the overseas dentist is comfortable, they're in and working the system, then all these opportunities will be there. I think the other thing I would say is, given that we are all over Scotland and we have opportunities across Scotland, it's a great chance for overseas dentists to come in and maybe try somewhere and try how they feel about living somewhere, and knowing that they can always move somewhere else within the group as well, so that they have that flexibility. Because it's quite a big challenge for someone coming overseas, particularly when they've got a young family, and trying to make sure that they pick the right part of the country where they want to live and be happy together, and where they're going to support a huge number of people that live in that area with great patient care. So the opportunities there are to come in, to go and work somewhere, to make sure they're happy with that. If they decide that they want to try somewhere different for the family, they're able to do that as well. If they want to learn to do, for example, adult ortho, then they'll have the opportunity to do that. And of course, all of this, as well as having the full access to all the digital equipment that's available and practical to use at the practice level.
That's amazing. We touched on the training of this earlier. You've got your own academy, which is fantastic. How much time, would they expect to be at that academy? And is there like a forecast of training and all those things? What does that look like for these guys?
Yeah. So essentially we have the residential part of the course, where it will be at the academy. And then throughout the year, there's a number of training days. And again, the majority of those will be held at the academy. But further to that, if they then decide that they want to further develop their skills, then the academy has a whole series of courses that we run throughout the year. And of course, working alongside their mentor, they can decide whether that's right for them and when it's right for them, so that they can access the fantastic facility we have there. So they would expect to be quite a lot of the time, especially in the early period of Clyde Munro, learning and developing their skill set in that academy.
Brilliant. Clyde Munro, how do you ensure that international dentists align with the company's values and culture? Because that's going to be important coming in, right? And getting them to align of how you work and everything else.
I think you're absolutely right. And that's the key to success. It's the key to success for the overseas dentists, but it's the key to success for the practices that they're working in as well. I think it's back to the support we give them from day one, where, first of all, I think the one thing that's really important as well, we have at the end of January an assessment day where they can assess us and we can assess them to say, is this a relationship that will work? We will at that day talk about the values we have and just discuss, is there a match here in terms of how you want to do your work as a clinician and how you want to care for your patients. And that day gives both parties really a chance to make sure that there is a relationship that will work, that there is an alignment of our value set. And that's really important. And then, of course, when they come into the business, they are going to get support from our central clinical team, and they'll get support from their mentor, but more importantly, they'll get support from all the nurses in the practice, the other clinicians in the practice, the regional support. And one of the things we pride ourselves in is that we all in Clyde Munro strive to live, and work together with a very high value set where, we care for each other as well as, make sure, our first and foremost priority is caring for our patients. But we also make sure we care for each other. And I think, coming from overseas, many of the overseas dentists will have families that they will be bringing with them, that having that value set to work in and having the confidence that there are people there to care for you as well as you caring for your patients, I think is vitally important. I think it's critical. And it's one of the things that we make sure everybody recognises, that, this is a big step for someone coming to work in Scotland, and it's a massive step bringing their family to Scotland. And we need to be there for them if they need it, because it isn't easy to do that. And the more support you get, both professionally, but also from a caring environment, the easier it's going to be and the more successful it will be. So that's, for me, is extremely important.
You really do, you really do empower your, your firm, right? You really empower people to be able to, provide feedback. You allow that to be able to better the culture.
Yeah.
I think it's really important, right? Because the culture is obviously critical, as you say earlier.
Yeah.
So again, anybody coming into a business like this has the reassurance that they can provide feedback, they can ask questions, they know they're going to be supported as well, right?
Yeah.
When anyone relocates to any part of the world, they need to understand that they've got a company that supports them and has that intelligence. That's
Absolutely
important building a company, right?
100%. Yeah, it's essential, and that's the way that I've done it right from the very start when we basically started this business 9 years ago now. And I think it's important that everybody lives those values together and that we recognise each other as well when we do the right thing and support each other. It's vitally important. And it's just how we do things now at Clyde Munro.
Absolutely. It's fantastic. What advice would you give international dentists who are considering applying for the program? I mean, there's lots of great things, but what advice from yourself?
Yeah, my advice is to make sure that they come and speak to us. And I think that's the important thing. We will be opening up the program for dentists to start at the end of March next year. We will have what we call our assessment day, which is the day that they can come and speak to us and assess how we fit with what they're needing and vice versa. I would encourage them to come to that day and talk to us to learn more about the opportunity. Even before that, I would encourage them to speak to Joe and Karen and the recruitment team to find out more about how this will work for them, to find out more about where in Scotland the opportunities lie for them to work. And they would be delighted to engage and to have those discussions. And then, of course, to then come along and speak to us at the end of January. And then at that point, hopefully, we would love them to commit to then joining our program. Now, we have got limited spaces because one of the things that I wanted to make sure is that every single person on this program gets the right level of support. So we've limited it to 5 dentists so that we can make sure that each and every one of them gets their undivided support and the right level of support so that we're not spreading our resources too thinly.
Brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. It's just, the kind of the detail you guys go into is absolutely fantastic to listen and also witness as well. We work closely with you for a couple of years now, so it's brilliant. Yeah. Any international dentist wishing to take up an excellent opportunity with an organization that has a stellar reputation they need to crack on and get in. So March is the deadline, I take it.
Yeah, well, we'd like to come along at the end of January, so we need to get moving and then start at the end of March, and we'll be ready to go with our first group in this course. Yeah,
that's brilliant. So, Jim, we're obviously nearing the end to 2024. I know before we came on, you mentioned it's been a busy year. What respite have you got for the end of the year? You're going to take it easy, or you're going to keep going?
Well, I'd never take it easy. I don't know what that means. As my wife said, I don't know what it means to switch off. But yeah, I'm going to spend some time with my grandkids. I've got 4 grandchildren, and they range from 3 to 6. So you can imagine things are starting to build already in terms of the excitement, and it just makes Christmas all the more magical when you have your grandchildren at that age. It's just wonderful. So that's what I'll be doing over Christmas, and hopefully teaching a couple of them how to ride their bike that they get for Christmas, and spend time together. And that's what it's all about at this time of the year for me.
It's fantastic to hear. That's fantastic to hear, Jim. I mean, my daughter's 5, so you can imagine things are extremely exciting now. And it snowed last week, so she was thinking it's Christmas. No.
Well,
we've got a few weeks left. I think it's good.
That's right.
Up you guys.
I absolutely. I mean, that's the thing, though. They think it's Christmas already. So
Jim, always a pleasure to hear your, to hear your passion, your enthusiasm, and also, what you've achieved is fantastic. And I think
appreciate that
opportunity for people coming in, and I think the listeners will be, I think they'll just be wowed by the kind of the detail.
And that's what we want to do. And I think in terms of, the people that are thinking about it, there's just a couple of things for them to think about as well. Because we want to get moving quite quickly now, and we've got almost a year's worth of work to get this program set up. And then there are a couple of things just for potential candidates to think about in terms of what we're looking for. Obviously, like first and foremost, we're looking for the right person that will come in and make the most of life at Clyde Munro and the access to all the training and the digital equipment and work well within our teams. But we really need them to be GDC registered, and that is something that we need. And it's open to candidates from Europe and from out with Europe internationally. Obviously, the EU candidate is a bit simpler for them to go through the process. If if there's candidates out with Europe, we would like them to have done their ORE exam, because again, that allows us to move forward pretty quickly to support them, to get them, really into the teams as quickly as we can, and get them operating and supported by the teams, and starting to see our patients. And as I said before, we will be looking to have our initial discussions at the end of January, and then we really want to get cracking as soon as we can around the end of March. And there's some wonderful places across Scotland, Lewis, where the candidates can live and work, all the way from the very north of Scotland down through into the cities, into some wonderful rural areas as well as Scotland, where it's a great place to live and bring up families. So there's opportunities for everyone, no matter what they're looking for in terms of their lifestyle. And I'm quite excited about welcoming a new team members to Clyde Munro, and I'm sure they'll bring a wealth of experience and a wealth of culture that will benefit us all as well. And I'm really excited about this.
No, you should be. You should be. And I think there's going to be people out there that are going to relish this opportunity to work with a firm that provides support, have the intelligence to help as well in terms of relocating. All of those things matter to people. Rino, a pleasure to have you on again. Let's not leave it another 12 months. Let's try and make it 6 months next time. But it's great to have you with us, and I look forward to catching up.